I'm an average man, or so I would have you believe. I live in a modest suburban house, a homey 2-story, with a garage and a small garden. But my regular, ordinary life is not what this story is about. No. This tale concerns the happenings that began one dreary afternoon when I stumbled upon a peculiar key in my basement. An old skeleton key, intricately crafted with a lustrous silver sheen, was what caught my attention that day. It looked distinctively out of place amidst the dust and forgotten boxes of the basement. The key was cold, chilling even, to the touch. Something about it felt ominous, but curiosity won over the reason, and I pocketed the key. In the following days, I started experiencing strange events. A persistent knock echoed through the house at the dead of night, untraceable to any peculiar source. An uneasy chill seemed to have settled into the corners of the room despite the spring warm outside. Whispers, inaudible, yet seemingly intimate, would drift up from the basement. I tried ignoring these phenomena until one night a sharp scream punctured my sleep. Startled, I sat up in bed. A cold sweat trickled down my back. The silence that followed was eerie, and the dread felt palpable. The house seemed to hold its breath. I cautiously made my way down to the basement, the eerie whispering growing louder and louder with each step. The basement door, always stubborn and creaky, swung open effortlessly this time, revealing an expanse of darkness. I fumbled for the switch, but the light bulb flickered and died out. I remembered the key in my pocket, its cold presence providing an odd sense of comfort to me. Walking into the basement, armed with nothing but a dim flashlight and a key, I felt the whispers increase in volume. Now they seemed to be uttering a name, a woman's name. Elizabeth? A sense of familiarity washed over me, leaving a bitter aftertaste. In the gloom, I noticed an old, locked wooden door that I didn't remember being there. With a trembling hand, I inserted the skeleton key right into the lock. Strange. It turned effortlessly, the door creaking open to reveal a hidden room. It was startlingly well kept, a stark contrast to the dank basement. A strange collection of items was scattered around. An old photograph, trinkets, and disturbingly, a collection of what seemed to be personal belongings. Identification cards, wallets, jewelry, whatever it may be. One photograph in particular caught my attention. A woman, beautiful with piercing gaze, was looking back at me. The name Elizabeth was inscribed on the back. A chill ran down my spine as the realization dawned upon me. The whispers in the night, the cold, the screams. I think they were all her. The room started to spin as memories flooded back to me. Elizabeth, my dear, sweet Elizabeth, my wife, who disappeared under my mysterious circumstances years ago. The memories were disjointed and hazy, but there was an undercurrent of anger, resentment, and betrayal. And then the memories of that fateful night, the fight, the rage, the accidental shove that had sent her tumbling down the stairs, the panicked decision to hide her body, to lie to the world, to forget. The room, a chilling momentum to the life I had stolen. I had buried the truth deep within me, locked it away so secretly, securely, that even I had forgotten about it. But now, as I stared at the haunting portrait of my wife, the truth screamed at me from the forgotten corners of my mind. I was a murderer. The guilt, the horror, the remorse, they clawed at me, a symphony of horror building up to the crescendo. I felt an oppressive presence in the room, closing in on me. Each whisper seemed to carry an accusation. A cold gust of wind blew through the room, and I heard her voice. clear and unmistakable. "You took my life," it echoed through the room, each word carrying a weight of sorrow and anger. I spun around, but there was no one there, just the memory of Elizabeth living in the room, in the walls of our house, a silent witness to my heinous act. In my panic, I raced up the stairs, the chilling presence of Elizabeth following close behind. I felt her whisper against my neck, smelled the faint scent of her perfume mixing with the mustiness of the basement. My heart pounded in my chest as I flung myself out of the basement and slammed the door shut, hoping to lock the past away yet once again. But I couldn't escape the truth any longer. Elizabeth was everywhere in the house. Her face stared back at me from mirrors. Her voice whispered in the wind. Her presence lingered in the cold corners. I was living in a haunted reality, tormented by my own guilt, my decisions, and her enduring spirit. Days morphed into sleepless nights, and nights blended into one another in a ceaseless cycle of remorse. I stopped leaving the house. The outside world, a distant memory as I grappled with my own personal horror. I was trapped in my guilt, imprisoned in my own home by the specter of my past. But I could not bear it any longer, I just couldn't. One night, as Elizabeth's whispers grew louder, I made the decision. I would confess. I would pay for my sins, make my wrongs right. As I reached for the phone to call the police, a piercing scream echoed through the house. Suddenly, the world swirled around me and I fell to the ground, my vision blurring. I could feel a cold hand around my throat, squeezing the life right out of me. The room grew darker as I choked for breath. In the dim light, I saw her, Elizabeth, her specter hovering over me, her face a mask of rage and sorrow. She said, "I will make you pay." Her cold breath sending chills down my spine. With those final words, the world slipped away from me, plunging into an abyss of darkness. The morning sun shone through the window, casting eerie shadows around the silent house. The police found me later that day, lifeless on the floor. A horrified expression etched right into my face, and a cryptic note on the table. A confession to long-forgotten murder. Elizabeth, she had finally got her justice. And so ends my tale, a grim reminder of the darkness lurking within ordinary lives and the haunting consequences of sudden, hidden sins. I hope you can glean a lesson from my mistakes, for as much as we may try to bury the past, it is a way of clawing its way back into light, reminding us that the truth can never truly be silenced. And so from beyond the grave, my story is told, a chilling testament to my past. My spirit, just like Elizabeth's, is trapped in our house. No longer an ordinary suburban home, it stands as a grim monument to a tragic love story, tainted by deceit, betrayal, and heinous acts that could never be undone. Elizabeth, once the invisible presence haunting me, now roams freely, her spectral figure a common sight in the eerily quiet halls. She no longer whispers or screams. She has had her vengeance. Her presence is no longer one to fear, but of a profound sorrow that fills the air. My spirit, in contrast, is bound by the remorse and guilt. I am the unseen whisper in the night, the cold chill in the corners, the living memory of a man who was once just an average man living an ordinary life. In the end, the house is a testament to the horror story that unfolded within its walls. Visitors who dare to venture in recount stories of eerie whispers, sudden chills, and ghostly figures. Elizabeth and I are forever part of the lore, reminders of the chilling horror that can lurk in the most ordinary of lives. the terrifying power of hidden truths, and the inescapable justice from beyond the grave. So, tread carefully, for you never know what secrets may lurk in the basement, what truths a mysterious key may unlock, or what spectral figure you may come across in the still of the night. For horror can reside in most mundane, the most everyday, even the most modest suburban house could hold within it a chilling tale of betrayal and vengeance. And remember, the past, no matter how hard one tries to bury it, it always claws back, right back into the light, where everybody can see.